Let us now take the second model from this topic, which is based on calculation of a percentage of a percentage. Let's look at this. X% of Y% of K is equal to XY by 100% of K. For example, 40% of 60% of some value, let us take 3000, can be taken as 40 into 60, that is X into Y. So 40 into 60 divided by 100% of 3000. Now 40 into 60 by 100 is equal to 24, 4624. So this is 24% of 3000, and 24% of 3000 will be equal to 720. So we can say that 40% of 60% of 3000 is equal to 720. So this is where we need to understand how to use percentage of percentage. This calculation of percentage is as good as finding out a percentage value. For example, let us forget about the second percentage symbol here. So we find that this is 40% of 60. We know that 40% of 60 is 24. So 40% of 60% will be 24%. So either you can use the formula, or directly we can find out the percentage here and then take that percentage for the given value. For example, let's say we need what is 50% of 80% of some value X. Now 50% of 80% is nothing but 40%. Why? Because 50% of 80 is 40. So 50% of 80% should be 40%. So 40% of X will be the answer. So in various questions we find that percentage of percentage is required, and this is how we can do the calculation. That is, X% of Y% of some value will be equal to XY by 100% of that value. Let us now take an example which is based on the concept of percentage that we have just discussed. The question here is, Prerna decided to donate 30% of her monthly income to an orphanage. But on the day of donation, she changed her mind and donated rupees 4,200, which is 70% of what she had earlier decided. So what should be the actual donation as per her earlier decision? Now, as given in the question, Prerna decided to donate 30% of her monthly income. That means her earlier decision to donate was 30%. But on the day of donation, she has donated only 4,200, which is 70% of what she had earlier decided. Now we know that her earlier decision was to donate 30%. That means this 4,200 which has been donated is 70% of earlier decision, which is 70% of 30%. So we can clearly understand that 70% of 30% is equivalent to 4,200 as given in the question. Now, going by the concept of percentage, we can say that 70% of 30% is nothing but 70 into 30 by 100%, which is equal to 21%. And this is given as 4,200. And we are supposed to find out what should be the actual donation as per our earlier decision. We very well know that the actual donation has to be 30% because that was our earlier decision. So we are supposed to find out 30% is equivalent to what? So we know that 21% is 4,200, 30% should be what? So again, by cross multiplication, we can say that this should be equal to 30 into 4,200 divided by 21. Now this goes 2 times. So the answer here will be 6,000 rupees. So the actual donation has to be 6,000, but she has donated only 4,200, which is 70% of the actual donation. So this is how we can use percentage in solving such questions. One point which you can understand here, friends, is that the question appears to be lengthy, but the solution here is in just one single step. That is, one percentage value is given and the other percentage equivalent value has to be calculated. So what we always need to do in this topic is find out what percentage equivalent has been mentioned, and accordingly find out the other percentage equivalent with the help of cross multiplication. Let us now take one more example from model 2, which is based on percentage of percentage. The question here is, the price of a car is rupees 5 lakhs. it was insured for 90% of its price. The car got completely damaged in an accident and the insurance company paid only 80% of the insured amount. What is the difference between the price of the car and the amount of insurance received? So here we are supposed to find out the difference between the price of the car and the amount of insurance that has been received after the accident of the car. Now, as given in the question, the price of the car is rupees 5 lakhs. We can take this 5 lakhs equivalent to 100%. That is nothing but the total amount is 100%, which is 5 lakhs. Now, it was insured for 90% of its price. That means it was insured for 90% of 5 lakhs. The car got completely damaged in an accident and the insurance company paid only 80% of the insured amount. Now remember friends, the company paid 80% of the insured amount. We very well know that the insured amount is only 90% but not the total value of the car. So we can clearly understand that the company paid 80% of 90%. That is nothing but the insured amount. So from this, we need to find out the difference between price of the car and the amount of insurance received. So very clearly, the insurance that the person will receive here will be equal to 80% of the insured amount, which is nothing but 90%. So here the calculation is 80% of 90%. We know that 80% of 90% will be equal to 72% with the help of the equation for percentage of percentage. That is x% of y% is xy by 100%. So 80% of 90% will be equal to 72%. So very clearly the insurance that is received is only 72%. Generally some students commit a mistake here by taking the difference as price of the car 100% and amount of insurance 80%. So 100 minus 80, 20% is the wrong calculation because insurance received is only 72% but not 80%. And the price of the car as we have taken is equal to 100%. So we know that the difference between these two values will be 100% minus 72%, which is equal to 28%. Now this 28% is equal to what has to be calculated. And we know that 100%, that is the price of the car, is 5 lakhs. So from this, by cross multiplication, we can say that 28% will be equal to 28 into 5 lakhs divided by 100, which is equal to 1,40,000 rupees. The difference between the actual value of the car and the amount of insurance received will be 1,40,000 rupees. So this is how we can use percentage of percentage concept in solving various questions of these type.